And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Well, hello to everyone, and welcome to the Weighing In podcast. We've got a ton of talk about in that combat sports world. My man, Josh Thompson, is just sitting there ready to just douse you with knowledge. I can see it. He's just, look at the glasses are on. They're actually clean this time. There's no fingerprints all over him. So he's ready to go. How you feeling, my brother? You feeling a little better than the last time, hopefully?
Yeah, I feel a little bit better. The aches and the chills are not there anymore. But, you know, just feel like a little worn down, that kind of position. So, but it's been a good week. I think a lot of what it's funny. I read the comments still here and there once in a while, not as much as I used to. And everyone's like, man, why is he always sick? Or why does he always have allergies? I'm like, I don't think people get it. Like, once we get into Chicago, let's say we go to Chicago, we go to overseas, you know, whether it's Ireland, Italy, whatever it is.
Yep.
I come in on the last flight, you know, because you don't want to leave your family that long. So you come in on the last flight. So that means as soon as I land at 8:30 in the morning or 9 in the morning,
we're going to work.
I go straight to the hotel and we sit for 5 hours of fighter meetings. So we sit for those. No food. No, like normally there's no time for food. If there is, it's like, hey, can you guys get me a sandwich or something on the go or a salad or something?
And we don't, hold on, we don't eat it in the fighter meetings because the fighters are all cutting weight. So we don't eat in front of them.
Exactly. So you don't eat in front of them, and you try not to bring food that smells because that also is I'm sure a little irritating for the fighters that are cutting weight. And so there's that. Then we get done with the fighter meetings. And we usually have about 20 minutes, if that, to get to the next location for the next production meeting. So we'll have a talent call meeting or a production meeting like right after that, which, look, I'm not complaining about how great our job is. I'm not complaining about that. But then just remember, when you get on a flight, right, I go to the airport, you're around a bunch of people. You get on a plane, you're surrounded, you're locked into a little cabin with a bunch of people. Then you get off the plane, you get, you know, you're in another country.
Think about the show.
Yeah,
you're surrounded by people, and people want to take pictures and shake your hands, and that's all great. And you know what? You're supposed to do that and give them those opportunities. But absolutely. A lot of these people, they go to shows and they're sick.
A lot of them are, you know. And then as you walk up, every single one wants to shake your hand, and I obviously I would shake everyone's hand. Just say hi, put their arm, you know, whatever. They put their arm around you. You put, you know, you wrap, whatever it is. You're having a conversation. And most of the time they've been drinking, so there's a little bit of that spit on you. Like,
oh no, there's a lot of spit.
There's
going
a lot
sometimes.
of that. So,
a lot of
you know,
spilled beer.
It's so fun, man. It's like, and I love it. But then as the fight, you know, there's meetings all through, and you're busy the whole time. Fight day is booked. So as soon as 10 a.m. hits, you better have had your breakfast in. You get to the venue. We do rehearsals. You get like usually about an hour to go back to the hotel, get dressed, come right back, and you sit there again. We didn't get out of Chicago, out of the venue until 1 a.m. So I was there. We got there at like noon. I think we left the hotel at noon because a later start because it was more on the Mountain Central Time or whatever it was. So we get there at like say noon, do the rehearsals. We didn't leave the venue. We just got dressed there because it was too far to go back and forth in traffic at 3 or 4 o'clock in Chicago. So we just got dressed there.
Traffic.
Got a little bit of food there in between. Then we started then we did the show. We started to do the show. There was a lot of, you know, back and forth. So I came down to call the first 3 fights with Jon, which we haven't done in a long time. So it was fun. And then because we started late for the show, because there was no ambulance there on site, you can't start a show without an ambulance there. So we started late, and then that happened. Then some of the fights got pushed to post-limbs. So we were there a lot longer than we should have been. But
oh yeah.
It was a great night of fights. So we had fun, man. The Kyle Crushmer fight was fantastic. The Mike Camel fight was a fantastic fight. Great fights. But we didn't get out until 1 o'clock. My car picked me up at 3 a.m. at 3:15, and I was at the airport by 4:40 or whatever it was. My flight left at 5:50. So I get home, you know, it's, you know, a good long, I have to switch over to Minneapolis, and you're at another airport, you get home. All of these things. It all happens so fast, you know, but you're in a bunch of different locations surrounded by a bunch of different people that majority of them, or not majority, but a lot of them can be sick. And so people are like, man, why are you always sick? And I'm like, well, you know, I travel overnight. I do the red eyes. You know, I don't get very good sleep, you know, and I don't normally sleep a lot as it is. Jon knows this. And so I think it's just a tendency of like, I'm always healthy. I'm always good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do tip back a couple of bourbons here and there, but it's, you know, yeah. But no, you know what's funny is I normally only get sick when I come home from being on the road. That's it. Normally. I mean, look, a couple weeks back, remember when I was sick? I think that was more like a food poisoning or something, man. Because it was coming out both ends. It was not the business, man. That was a different type of sick. This was like sick, like flu sick. So, but we feel better today. Just feel a little run down. That's all, but still got to get up and do some important things today. Take the little ones around. Got camps, got to pack. Get all.
Got to buy the fireworks. I bought fireworks. I am ready for the 4th of July. I have got my giant collection. The people, I go to this. It's the world's biggest fireworks store. It says it's pretty damn big. And so, we've become kind of friends. And we, every year he's expecting me to come, and we sit there and they help me with everything. And it's a whole procedure and stuff. But God damn it, expensive. I do it. I put on a big 4th of July party for the Veteran Farmers Coalition and stuff, and try to put on something that they can actually enjoy and have a good time, and get some good food, and have a good, at least an hour-long fireworks show with things going off the whole time. So,
hour-long fireworks show?
Yeah, baby. It's got to reach an hour.
Majority of the best fireworks shows go for like maybe 12 minutes to 20 minutes. Those are like the best ones. You're saying an hour long? You're crazy.
No, these are fantastic.
That's a lot of money.
Special.
I remember when I was younger.
I can light them off of my phone and sit there and I hook everything up and then.
So I was living in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, for high school, and one of the summers they had the fort. Every summer they have it out over the lake, but one summer they were getting ready to start it, and they were like maybe 2 or 3 minutes into the fireworks show, and they were, and they have it all out. It doesn't launch from the actual shore. It launches from a big barge out in the middle of the lake.
Out in the middle, yeah.
And that fucking barge caught fire. And
that's bad.
That shit went off, John. For like 10 minutes, that thing just kept going and going and going. And everyone's like...
Problem with that is those things are shooting out in directions they're not supposed to be aimed at because they're just sitting there,
Yeah, and that whole barge is surrounded by boats that are out there, sitting out there.
Oh, yeah.
So they were getting shot at, things left and right, but it went for a good 10 minutes, man. It was pretty funny. Yeah. It wasn't funny at the time because everyone's like, man, is everyone okay? And then on top of it, like, wait, was that the show? What happened?
And then they go, is that it then? That's it. Yeah, you just thought.
Yep, that was it. But hey, John, we got some good stuff going on this weekend.
Yeah. There's I'll tell you what, the UFC's got a hell of a fight coming up, from Jacksonville, Florida, and one participant in it, Josh Emmett, coming off of a loss. He lost that interim bout again with Yair Rodriguez, but the guy he's facing has never lost, and I believe he's one of the top fighters there is out there right now. Ilia Topuria is just a machine. You can take a look at some of his fights, and he has destroyed guys that are stand-up fighters. He has destroyed guys that are great grapplers. This guy's got the full goddamn game, man. He is good. Tough night for Josh Emmett, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's gonna
hard
be a
to come off a loss, and this is your next match. That's a handful right there.
Yeah. But you know what? I agree with you. I'm not in denial whatsoever. I think Topuria definitely has the upper hand. The confidence is there, being 13-0.
Dude, he is a rising star.
Yeah, and he's got all the tools. Like, he's not just a stand-up guy. He can stuff your takedowns. He can get his takedowns. He's got nasty ground and pound when he does get to the top. And if you start to make too much space and start to attack the submissions, he'll back out, let you back to your feet, and do it all over again. He's very explosive. He's got all the tools that you're looking for in a top-level world-class fighter. That's Topuria. Josh Emmett, mainly boxing. Has a good wrestling background, doesn't utilize it as much as he gets older. Yeah, he's got power. So he's got a puncher's chance. I think he's got a really good puncher's chance. But because Topuria is hittable, he does get hit. In some of these exchanges, he does get hit. Now, can you hit him clean? Because he's also got a beard on him. I'm not just talking about his photos, okay? He's got a real beard on him. This is someone that can take a shot and deliver one back. So he's got a beard on him. So this to me, I think that first round is going to be a great fight. But I look where Topuria is somebody that he is someone that he believes in himself so much that he will start to push Josh Emmett back. And if Josh Emmett starts taking steps backwards,
trouble.
That's when he's in trouble. Because then now you're just target practice for someone like Topuria who can do it everywhere. He can do it on the feet. He can do it with the kicks. He can do it in the wrestling and the ground and pound. Josh Emmett can do it by moving forward, chasing after you, smart chasing after you though, and land the big shot. He can do it that way. He can try to get the takedowns, but I don't know how much energy he wants to waste trying to get to that top position and try to do work. So I'm leaning a lot more towards Topuria getting it done, getting his hand raised. But I mean, at the top of that division though, John, you've got two guys, three actually. You've got Yair Rodriguez, who's just an absolute stud. You've got Volkanovski, and you've got Max Holloway. Those are the three guys that I think that he'll have a very hard time with. And there's, I think any fighter across the world, any promotion, anything like that, are gonna have a hard time with him, with those three fighters. But I'd like to see how they all play out, man, because that's him jumping up into that category of being he'd be number 3, number 2, number 1, somewhere in that. I mean, he's right up there in that number 4, number 5 area. You got Arnold Allen there. You got Brian Ortega there. Both those guys are dogs. Both of them are really good. And you throw Topuria in the mix. Those are the top 4 or 5 best fighters, absolutely all the way around. Just fantastic athletes. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this whole thing shakes out at the end of Volkanovski and Yair, and where Topuria ends up. You've got Max fighting Korean Zombie, which I don't think does anything for him really. Just gets him back on focus.
Gets
and on
him
track.
a fight. Gets him
Keeps
just
him
where
busy.
he is.
Yeah,
Yep.
I feel like he's kind of trying. Max is trying to kind of not reinvent himself, but he's trying to make some adjustments. And so I think maybe he's had a conversation with the UFC, because his last fight and this fight, I think you're going to start to see a little bit more of a composed Max Holloway, someone who, sure, he's gonna hit you clean, and he's gonna outbox you, but I think he's gonna start working on some new ways to try to mix it up. To try to get away from those calf kicks, try to maybe utilize some of his jiu-jitsu that he's so good at that we never see. Some of the wrestling maybe, but Topuria and Josh Emmett.
So.
Nah, you don't think so? But
I don't think.
Topuria and Josh Emmett is a fun fight. I think it's a good fan fight. If you're gonna sit at home this evening and watch, I think it's gonna be an action-packed explosion of two guys getting in the center of the cage and getting after it. It's gonna be a good fight.
Dave, do me a favor and please pull up Topuria's record here, because these are the things that you got to consider when you look at it. Okay, and you can go all the way down, to where he has his first fight was against a guy that the UFC was very high on, in Yusuf Zalal, and he's a good fighter, and that one went to a decision, and they were back and forth with that, and that was the one that you looked and you said, man, that guy's got some skill, but you couldn't tell. Then he took on Damon Jackson and just obliterated him in that. Then it was Ryan Hall, and Ryan Hall, we all know, look, Ryan's got an unbelievable, submission game, and he just stuffed everything Ryan did and crushed him. And then Jai Herbert was the one that I look at, and this is the one where I went, yeah, people got problems here. Because if you go back, I'll never forget that, I think it was Bisping was one of the commentators. And like Bisping, I understand why Bisping's a little bit, playing the homer side of Jai Herbert. He's from, England, and look at how wonderful he's looking. But he wasn't looking wonderful. He was moving, trying to stay away from Topuria and the power. And Topuria landed a fucking left hook to the body and then a straight right over the top that just took freaking Jai Herbert away. Clean KO. And you went and looked and you went, Jai Herbert is a good stand-up fighter. Yeah. He does have good skill. He's got good power. He's got good movement. And he just obliterated him. And then he came right back, and look, Bryce Mitchell was what? One loss, or was he undefeated when he went against Topuria? And take a look at, that's a submission win against the guy that everyone is going to look at and say, he's a great submission fighter. He's got a ton of submissions. He was undefeated. And he went and submitted him. This kid is so good.
Yeah.
I wish, I wish everyone had the skill set that this guy's got. He is that good. He is John, the future.
I look at what's his record? He's 13-0. He's had one fight go the distance against Yusuf Zalal.
Yeah.
He's a really good stand-up guy as well.
And that was his first fight in the UFC. So a little tight, I'm sure.
So scroll back down so I can see his record. But all the other fights are all done in the first and second round. All of them. Mm-hmm. Ryan Hall, first round. Jai Herbert, second round. Bryce Mitchell, second round. Go all the way down. Yusuf Zalal, that was the only one that went the distance out of all of his fights. Damon Jackson, first round. Even before he got to the UFC, all first round, one second round. All of them first round except for one. One was in the second round. But he finished all of them. Cage Warriors.
The judges one time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's impressive. And as he's getting elevated, he's getting better every single time you see him in there. You see his confidence growing too. He's so confident in his skills. He understands what he brings to the table. He knows how good he is. He knows what he can do. Very impressive, man. Very impressive. Yeah. So who knows? Where is his
I love Josh Emmett, but he's got his hands full.
Yeah.
This is a hard fight. And look, when you're someone at Josh Emmett's status, that's all you can expect, with where you're at and stuff. But man, coming off of the hard fight against Yair, man, to get this as your next matchup, Josh, you're a bold man for signing on the line, because that's the one you go, can you give me someone else?
Exactly. I mean, but what are you gonna do, man? You just fought for the interim title, came up short.
That's it.
And at this stage of his career and his age, and they know that Topuria is someone who finishes people, goes out there and brings the action. Well, Josh is one of those guys that will take a shot and give a shot. So let's see how this all plays out. But I mean, the featherweight division in the UFC, those top 4 or 5 spots are really stacking up, man. Any of those guys can beat each other in any given day.
Yeah,
good stuff. Next fight.
Next fight is Amanda Ribas against Macy Barber. This is actually a very interesting fight. Both actually have kind of similar styles. Both will stand on the feet. Both are good on the ground. Both have good submissions. I think Macy is a little bit more controlling in what she does on the ground. But that's a really good flyweight matchup, and one that, is going to accelerate, because Macy had a little, fall down when she lost to Roxy and stuff, and Amanda had hers. But they've both come back, and they've both been looking really good. So this is a great matchup in the flyweight division.
Yeah, I think Macy Barber's just learned how to get out of her own way. I think she's on track. I think she understands what she needs to do. She's extremely young. And at a young age, there's a lot to take in when you're making some gains. People are talking about you. You're becoming a little bit of a star. There's a lot of hype around you in an organization in the UFC. And sometimes it can be too much for people. And everyone's like, oh, what are you talking about? This is what they do. No. Sometimes the younger fighters just have a hard time adjusting to all the press, all the media attention, all the fan attention, all those things. It starts to get to them, and they put the pressure on themselves because they want to be the best. And Macy Barber's jumped through a couple of hoops. She's made some gains. She understands how good she is. But Amanda Ribas is damn good too.
Damn straight.
It's going to be, I think, a back and forth battle. And it really comes down to who can implement their game plan the best. Ribas, I think, a little bit longer with the jab, a little bit longer with the stand-up. Macy Barber's going to have to make it a dirty, grimy fight, get inside, clinch against the fence, knees, elbows, all of those things, try to get to that top position. Ribas good off of her back, but I think that Macy Barber's good enough to control the top position without being submitted. So this will be a fun fight. These first 2 fights are actually going to be real fun. And also, too, the next fight as well should be a really good fight. But Ribas and Barber should be good.
Austin Lane against Justin Tafa. Tafa is that guy that he walks through everything and just throws bombs and puts people on their butts. But Austin Lane, very talented fighter. This is, as a heavyweight, these are the fights that you're looking for, because you got one guy, he's a brawler, and Tafa can take big shots. Well, Austin Lane can land big shots, but he's got technique. He's got the ability to take you down. He's got the full game. So that's an interesting matchup also, like you're saying.
Got it. What else? What else you got here?
You got next one, David Onama, who, came in big time, hype behind his name and stuff. I believe it was his last fight that he kind of fell down, lost that one. But Gabriel Santos, very talented young fighter in the featherweight division. Yeah, it was against the Train, and he was fighting well. He had his moments, but Nate Landwehr is very tenacious, tough, just keeps coming after you. And he just broke Onama down. But there's a lot there with Onama. You can take a look. He's a young fighter. He's got a lot of talent. And so does Gabriel Santos. So this is kind of like which one's going to be taking that step towards, that next level, or who's the one that's going to kind of take the backwards trend. So big fight for Onama, I think.
Brendan Allen versus Bruno Silva.
Yeah.
I think Allen's on
tough as hell.
But Allen's on a run right now, man. He's doing well. He's
and he's getting confident.
Since his Chris Curtis loss, I think he's been on fire.
Yeah. He had that Andre Muniz fight, looked great in it. Mm-hmm. Really dominated the action. But Bruno Silva, very tough, talented guy. He's had some big fights, wasn't able to get the wins against guys like, Pereira and stuff. But this is a great matchup. I really like this one. I would say that Allen is the more definitely on the ground. I like Allen. Mm-hmm. Because he really does a lot of work down there. Bruno Allen, as far as power, I think he's got the power in the stand-up. He's got, heavy hands. But this is a great matchup.
Click on Brendan Allen for me, please. Because he hasn't lost since Chris Curtis, correct?
No, he hasn't lost in his last 4 fights.
Yeah, so Sam Alvey, and then Malcone, and then Jocko, and then
his fight against Jocko, he looked, look at Jocko is a lot better than people give him credit for. Jocko's a tough sucker. He's now with the PFL, but he's a good, solid fighter, and Jocko is good on the ground, and Brendan Allen got a submission on him. I just look in and say, right now, Brendan Allen is fighting as good as he has ever looked. His last 2 losses are to the trading partners and Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland. So they kind of have his number for whatever reason, but
the duo.
Other than that, he's been looking good.
The 2 guys, I would never think we would pair up with each other.
Oh no, they're perfect for each other.
They are perfect for each other. Oh man. All right, next one.
Neil Magny taking Philip Rowe. Philip is a very talented fighter, but he's got a lot of experience that he's going up against. I love Neil Magny. I think he's as solid a fighter as you'll find. He's got a great ground game. He's got good stand-up. The one thing, maybe he doesn't have the most power. He's more of a volume guy, but he can wrestle. He can defensively wrestle. He can freaking submit you. He is hell on wheels if he's on top of you, in the top position, man. He lays down big elbows. Mm-hmm. His stand-up is clean. Philip Rowe, very clean stand-up fighter. Very good fighter overall. And so that's a great matchup. But Neil's got the experience. Philip Rowe's got more of the youth.
I just look at Neil, right? No matter who he fights, he's a tough fight for anyone. He just makes it
because he can fight everywhere.
Yeah, he makes it a weird.
He's not the best
fight.
anywhere.
No. Nope.
But he's good everywhere.
He's like a John Fitch, just a little bit more athletic. I mean, I gotta be like, it's kind of like I say that same thing about myself. You guys, is I was never the best wrestler, never the best kickboxer, the boxer, any of that stuff. I never had the best submission game. But no, you just got to be able to take it wherever your opponent can't take it at that moment.
Yep.
And you've got to outwork them. You've got to out-hustle them. Neil Magny's that guy. He's not the best anywhere, but he finds ways to make it work. He's good in the clinch. Hey, I don't want to clinch. Okay, I'm going to make my space, stick the jab in your face, and use my push kick. He's good in all these different directions. He gets on top. He's got good submission game, got good submission defense. He's good all the way around, man. He makes every fight a tough fight. Those are the guys that I hated fighting. Because every time you wanted to exploit somewhere where you thought you had the advantage, it's like, man, these guys are a lot better than I thought when I got down here. So, next fight.
Randy Brown coming back. Disappointing loss in his last fight against Wellington Turman. Turman, I believe, is coming down in weight. I thought he was fighting at middleweight. Can you take a look at it and see if his last fight
his last weight was 185.
Yeah.
His last recorded weight.
Yeah. He's a solid fighter and stuff. I don't know if coming down in weight is the right thing. Again, I don't like when guys come down in weight. It's usually not, the speed is not a good thing. But, he has taken on some very, heavy-handed guys. We know he's tough. We know he can take a shot. Randy Brown's got a lot of good stand-up. He's super long for the weight class. Very fast, talented guy. Turman definitely, I think, has the ground advantage. He's, I believe, a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And a talented guy there. So this is going to be a contrast in styles, in my opinion, of Randy wanting to keep it on the feet and keep it at range, and Turman really trying to close the distance on him and get into a clinch and get the fight to the ground.
When I look at the rest of the prelims here, there's a couple people that I wanted to talk about. Is that I think someone who really is making a real rise is Tabitha Ritchie. She's a dog. She's tough. She can get after it. And when I say she's a dog, that's not in a bad way. Okay, it's a very positive way. She's someone that she will get in there and get grimy after it. And Jillian Robertson is just as much of a tough opponent as well. And
Great
then
submission fighter.
And then Zumagulov. I thought he retired, but he's still around. But he's fun, man. I don't care. He's just fun
fighter,
to
man.
watch fight. You know, do you put him kind of in that same category as a Marvin Vittori? Like he'll fight everywhere.
No,
like
he hasn't been as successful.
No, I didn't mean that part. I meant like in terms of entertainment value. I'll go watch him because Vittori's tough. He'll take shots. He'll try to deliver shots. You know, we were just talking about how great that fight was with Cannonier and Vittori. I look at Zumagulov. Almost all of his fights are fun, even though he's on the losing end of it.
Yep,
They're great fights, man. They're fun to watch. He tries to make it a fight no matter what. He's got a ton of experience.
He's
14
tough as
and 8.
hell. He's got a beard, man. He
nails.
takes shots. Yep, I agree.
Any other fights on here you want to chat about?
No, we're good.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our UFC talk. And before we move on to any of our fan news or fan questions or anything like that, let's go to onlyfans.com/weighing-in. onlyfans.com/weighing-in. John, I said it the other day. I'm going to say it again. I had a good meeting with them while we were in Chicago. Just real brief, though.
Yeah, they didn't want to talk to me.
No, they were down K-side actually working. Me, I was up top, shaking hands, kissing babies. And so they came up and were able to talk to me for a little bit there.
Mr. Smooge.
Yes, I was up there eating the Chicago dog.
Chicago dog. I know.
Yeah,
man, it pisses me off.
Podcast Dave loves hot dogs.
I do.
He loves eggplant too, by the way. Anyways,
drive-through once a week.
Inside story, guys. Inside story.
Another good one.
But yeah, it's a great one. It's for John and I. It's hilarious. But go to onlyfans.com/weighing-in. We are still fighting hard for equal pay for men and women, or for men and women on that. We want equal pay for the men and women on that on that OnlyFans. I don't think that's ever going to happen, John.
That's never going to happen.
Well, John, if you show me your butthole, it might.
I'll show it to you, dude. You pay the money.
You pay the money? How much is it going to cost? John, how much is it going to cost?
It's not worth
it. No, we were the first podcast they've ever signed and worked with, and so it's been kind of fun working with them. They just put out a feature piece on Chris Cyborg. They have another one coming out with MVP. John and I do the voiceovers on that, and we give our expertise and our knowledge on these fighters and talk about the history of them as well as what to look forward to in the future for them. And man, great stuff. All right, what else you got for us, Dave?
All right, we're going to hop into ONE FC. They have a one title fight this week. It's a mixed card, so this is only MMA on there. But they've got a heavyweight MMA title fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is a title fight for their heavyweight championship. And you got Arjun Bular, who was their heavyweight champion, but got hurt. They had an interim. And Anatoly Malkin is just a beast. Comes from the light heavyweight division, went up to fight for that interim title. He won it. He's a beast, 12-0. He comes to fight. He will throw down with anyone. He's fun to watch. The real question is, can he stop what Arjun does? And Arjun is a good wrestler. And Arjun he's a stifling wrestler. And if he gets his hands around you, you're going to have a hard time getting away from him and stuff. He's not the greatest in the stand-up, and that's where Anatoly Malkin's got a real shot at putting shots on him because he's got heavy hands. But, as a heavyweight title fight, this one, basically this is their undisputed versus their interim champion, so it doesn't get much better. This should be a really good fight to watch in the heavies.
Yeah, I think it's obviously a contrast of styles. You've got Anatoly who's going to try to keep this thing on the feet, and you've got Arjun who's going to try to get this fight to the ground. I think once it does hit the ground, it really has to do with how well Anatoly can keep making Arjun work to get back up to his feet. Because Arjun from the top, he used to train at AK. I know him for years. He trained with DC, with Kane. He was there. He was a mainstay there. I don't know where he's training at now these days, but I think that we'll see how he is now after the injury. But I think the wrestling's going to end up being the main feature here. If he can't get the takedown early and he can't get it often and control that top position, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. But it should be a good fight, though. I always look at when I say it should be a good fight, the two of them could end up canceling each other out, where he gets a takedown and it comes down to like the fifth round. It comes down to where, hey, if you get taken down this round, you're losing, but you've won 2 rounds. You could end up seeing something like that, where one person takes a lot of damage in one round, the other person controls the top position and does ground and pound. We could end up seeing a fight like that. It could end up being a great fight, or it could be a very one-sided fight with someone getting finished. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, hey, that's on Friday night, correct? And that should be on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. What else you got for us there? That's going to wrap up the one because that's the only MMA fight on there. But PFL 6 is coming up. This is the lightweights, and what else they have?
This is the last one. Is this the last one of the regular season?
I believe so. I believe so.
This is the one that puts everyone either in the playoffs or puts them on the bench. So
Let's see. It looks like PFL Europe 2. They've got a Europe card in July, and then the playoffs kick off in August. Yep. Got it right, John.
Got it. All right.
but you got OAM Oliver Aubin Mercier going up against Anthony Romero in the main event. Oliver had a great performance against Shane Burgos. Got a big win. Had the big win in winning the PFL, lightweight title. He looked fantastic doing it. Got that $1 million for the season prize. Got the belt, but you don't carry that over. They put him against Burgos, which is always the one thing I say. They always take their guys that win and put them against tough fights. Burgos, tough fight. And OAM came out and proved why he's doing so well there, man. He put it on Burgos. He was, took Burgos out of his game, made him, wrestle a lot in the stand-up. He actually did well with him. I look at this as, Anthony Romero is a talented guy, but everything that OAM does works against Anthony Romero. Romero is very good at range, very good with his stand-up. He's got good kicks. OAM catches kicks well. His stand-up has become a lot more where he's more confident in it. Not so much that he's going to get just, the ability to knock you out, but he's going to get to the range where he's comfortable and be able to get you to the ground when he wants because he's got great wrestling. This is going to be a tough fight for Anthony Romero. I've watched Anthony fight multiple times in the LFA. He was a great fighter, but this is a tough fight for him.
Yeah, this is what I also think, though, is I think OAM, he is someone that will sometimes be too patient.
OAM fights to the level of his opponent.
He'll sit on the outside sometimes and wait for his fighter to come forward. And if Anthony Romero just sticks out there and pot shots him and tries to pick him apart, he may end up losing a close fight, OAM. So he's got to be aggressive. He's got to get these takedowns. He's got to control that top position. Now, if he gets one takedown a round, that might be enough for him to control enough of the round to win the round. I'm just saying that OAM, I think I saw in last year's, he really didn't do a whole lot because he knew he was already in the finals, or he knew that with one takedown I can control it. This I have an issue with how they do their stuff, but it is what's working for them, I guess. I don't know if it's working or not, but I understand what they're doing. They're trying to create a format that people can follow along and get into, but I just don't know if there's enough people to follow along and get into this. But OAM has a tendency to sometimes play it safe.
You can follow along, but it's got to make sense.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what you're talking about. Sometimes it doesn't make sense because you'll have fighters that beat somebody and that fighter ends up not going to their post
to their playoffs.
playoffs, and the person that loses does.
Yeah.
And you go, well, what the hell is that?
No,
it's all based upon a point system, but that point system is based upon what's the level of the person you're fighting. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I've got the real question with. Because you can't sit there and tell me, if you're the PFL, you can say that, well, all of our fighters are good. They're not all the same.
Yeah.
There are levels to, your fighters, and you know which ones are the best. And sometimes I see guys that are, really good fighting someone that's not. And then I see guys that are really good fighting someone who's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. But I think OAM has a tendency sometimes to, like you said, fight to the level of his opponent, but also feel like he can just get by just enough to win the fight.
Good.
Because he doesn't want to take any damage, any injuries, knowing that, okay, I'm going to get into the playoffs if I just continue to do this. That can sometimes lead to boring fights. And then you're just leaving it up to the judges, and the judges can look at it completely different than the way you looked at it. So
Anthony cry.
Anthony Romero, yes, as Burt Watson would say, they can make you cry. But Anthony Romero, he's just got to use his speed, get in, get out without getting taken down and without getting clipped himself on the exit. So should be a good fight, though. Next.
You got Sadaboy Sai taking on Shane Mitchell. Sadabusai is the welterweight champion from the PFL for last season. So he's been on a string. He won his first fight. I think it went to a decision, so he only got the 3 points. Shane Mitchell coming into this, talented guy, but he's like, if you're going to beat Sadabu, you got to get him to the ground. He's got good stand-up. He's got clean strikes. He fights well with his length. You got to take him off his feet and make life miserable for him. We'll see if Shane Mitchell could do that. And
then the next fight is Shane Burgos versus Yamamoto.
Nishikawa.
How do you say that?
Nishikawa, yeah.
Shane, I think it's kind of weird though. Some fighters, like, they go from the UFC and they come here, and then I think they think that they're going to go be right to being their champion, and it's a problem because we've seen a lot of the guys
good fighters
that have left.
everywhere.
There's good fighters everywhere, but we've seen with Shane, like, he was a monster at 145, but he didn't want to make the weight anymore, so he decided to fight here at 155. And so he's going to have some tough fights. I think where he had the big time advantage was, man, he is a monster at 145. Strong, physically strong, big punching power. Oh, man.
Still sick.
Sorry.
Breathe. Someone give him the Heimlich.
Yeah, right.
My gosh.
What's in that thing?
Oh my gosh.
Keep punching him in the head.
The real question I have is, what the hell did you swallow or choke on?
Nothing.
You were talking.
No.
Would you swallow your words?
No, I don't know.
He inhaled water.
Oh, calm down, Dave. Mr. Eggplant himself. Oh, man. Wow.
You got one job. Just talk for an hour and a half.
It's
One
so
job.
weird. Yeah.
Just call him EPK, Josh.
Oh. So I mean, I look at him like, is there any interest in him going back down to 45? If he doesn't make it work in this lightweight tournament and to win that $1 million, is there any interest in him going back down? I don't know how old he is. How old is Shane Burgos?
No, Shane's not that old. He's like 31, I believe.
32.
32. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna do it, you got to probably try and do it now. After this year, if he doesn't win the $1 million.
Look, he's got his hands full with Nishikawa. Nishikawa is good. He's a talented fighter. He's got good submissions. He's got good stand-up. He can fight. I don't think he has the power of Shane Burgos.
Yeah.
But he's a well-rounded fighter. This guy is no chump.
Not many people have the power of Shane Burgos. I never had it.
Lightweight,
I never
there
had
are
power.
more.
I never had power. So, next fight.
Magomed Karamov, fantastic fighter. I think one of the best fighters that they've ever had in the PFL. The guy can really go. And then, he's been beat, but he's a solid fighter that can beat anybody. Going up against David Zawada, that's to get, I think, either one of them into the finals. Whoever wins it goes into the finals. Even if they don't, but that is not an easy fight for Zawada. He's got his hands full there.
No, he's a tough fight. Magomed Karamov is a tough fight for anyone. Tough fight. Who's this? I don't know. I feel like I've seen him fight Magomed
Umalatov.
I feel like I've seen him fight.
You have.
I'm sure I have.
Pull up his record.
For some reason, I can't picture like who. Who did he fight?
Yeah,
Delano Taylor saw that.
Delano Taylor was in the finals of the PFL and lost to Sadabusai. But Delano Taylor had beaten Rory McDonald. That was Rory McDonald's
last fight,
retirement fight, and frickin' Umatalov just tore him apart.
So what happened to Umatalov? He just didn't make it to the finals, though. How did that all work out?
No, this is the new year here. This is the new year. For the last one, he got a fight in there and then pulled out. I think he had his injury, and then it happened to him again after he fought, what was it? Was it Leandro Silva that he fought in that? I don't know. But the guy can fight. He's good. He's undefeated, man. He's a good fighter. He's one of them Look at you got these guys.
He's
from
got a
that
ton of
region.
finishes. It's like TKO, 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 KO, TKO, TKO.
Yep.
If you look at his record, he's 13-0. I just can't seem
Because
to
he gets
picture
on
the
top
last
of
time
people
I've seen him
and they
fight.
can't get away from him. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't picture the
The
last time
Delano
I've seen
Taylor
him.
fight, he just knocked him out. It was a beautiful, But the guy he's going against in Lopez Miranda, undefeated. You got two guys, 16-0 and 13-0, going up against each other.
Someone's
That's
always
pretty
going to go.
interesting.
Someone's always going to go.
Then you got Clay Collard taking on Stevie Ray. Love watching Clay Collard fight. Love watching Stevie Ray fight. He's a gamer. They go about it differently. Stevie's going to want to get this fight to the ground. Clay's going to want to keep it on the feet.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see who can make that a reality. But the other fight that you have on here that's really a good fight, you got Nathan Schultz against Raush Manfio.
Mm-hmm.
Both guys have been the PFL champion, and that's really a good matchup.
All right. So that's also on Friday night.
Yep. That one is.
That is. You can watch that on ESPN Plus. So good for them, man. I feel like this is a lot better card than last week's card.
This is.
You know,
they got a lot of good fights on this card.
Well, they're mixing the welterweights with their featherweights, and then a lot of their lightweights are on here too. They have a couple featherweight fights on here.
Mm-hmm.
So you have welterweights, featherweights, and lightweights.
Yep.
All right, well, hey, that's going to wrap up our PFL talk. What else you got for us, Dave?
All right, I want to go into this first story here. We're going to have some fun with these stories today. So, first one comes from a pro boxer who sparred with Nate Diaz ahead of this fight with Jake Paul. It was quite interesting. It just kind of points out the freakishness of Nate Diaz. Now, he does speak in a different language, so I'm just going to read off what he said. Here's what Esquiva Falcao, undefeated boxer, had to say about sparring session with Nate Diaz. At first, I thought he was tired, and in the end, it looked like he was dying. His fighting style is crazy. You look at him and say, oh, he's tired, and then we started sparring. Coach told me in the second round, he's tired already, hold back a little bit and keep the rhythm so he does at least 10 rounds. I held back and kept boxing and we did 12 rounds. He was tired but taking punches and throwing too. He is bad, but but since he's too heavy, he's overweight, probably 220 or more.
What?
And I'm the only big guy in the gym. I had to do it, but I like doing it. So a couple things there, the weight and then just that freakishness of Nate where it looks like he's tired, but he just... you're saying hold back so we can do at least 10, but he goes 12.
I don't think Nate could get to 220.
Oh, John.
Okay. Not being a guy that's training.
Nah.
Being a guy that's training. No.
That fight's coming up too. It's like the end of June.
Yeah, but
No,
it was in August.
it's not August. It's August, yeah.
Oh, is it August?
August.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was the end
First
of
week
June.
of August. I expect you to be going to that fight.
I probably will. Be right
It's going
there
to be
my
in your
hood
backyard,
Dallas.
baby.
It's going to be in Dallas.
That's it. But seriously, look, Nate's not 220 pounds. Ain't no freaking way. Okay? No way. But, him training and, he's obviously down in Riverside at Robert Garcia's gym. That's awesome. Robert's a great guy. That's who is working there. But Nate can box. Nate's been boxing with a lot of guys. And again, I think Jake Paul can definitely beat him. He can knock him out. But it ain't going to be easy. He's going to have to hit him with the right shot. And the other part is Nate gets a beautiful 10 seconds to get his ass up. Well, 9 to get his, get up. And then you get a couple more seconds as the referee's going to be saying, step to your right, step to your left, or whatever he's going to be doing. So that's time that, Nate normally doesn't get if he gets rocked, that he will be getting, which is only going to help him. And if this thing starts to get into the later rounds and it's at a 10-round fight, that works towards Nate's advantage. The 10 rounds and the ability to take shots and just keep coming forward and deliver volume.
Yeah.
Jake's going to have a lot of volume coming his way. And guys that deliver volume can take you out of your game because you're looking for your counters. You're looking for your time for you to throw hard. And it just never seems to get there because they're always moving and it's just throwing you off. I think it's a good fight.
I think he's over 200 pounds. I think he's probably pushing 208, 210. He's probably somewhere in there.
209.
Come on, no
would you say
way.
he's 209, Josh?
He's 209. But he's
209.
209.
There you go, man.
No, he's
definitely
over 200 pounds. His body frame allows it. He's six. What is he? 6'2"? You know,
he's at least 6'1".
Right, yeah, he's 6'2", somewhere around there. I think he's taller than his brother. Yeah, I think he's taller than Nick.
They're close.
Yeah, but anyways, I think his body frame will allow him to do it.
It's going to say Nate is 6 foot. And he's not 6 foot.
No, he's not 6 foot.
He's taller than 6 foot.
It does say 6 foot.
Yeah, he's not.
He's taller than 6 foot.
Yeah,
It's 6. It says Nick's 6'1". So
yeah.
That's why I said they're close to the same height. But
I think the fact it's going to help him that it's going 10 rounds now. So 10 rounds will be beneficial for him. Put the pace on him. This pro boxer who he's talking about, he's saying everything that we've always known.
Yep.
That Nate is somebody that can stand. Nate is someone that can stand with anybody. He can do it, and he will do it. So we'll see if he can weather the storm, though, in those first couple rounds. He's got to have to put pressure and a lot of output. A lot of output make him fight a very uncomfortable fight. Very much how much Tommy Fury did. But Tommy Fury's got power. Nate doesn't have a lot of power.
Tommy Fury's got speed.
Yeah, Nate doesn't have that either.
Tommy Fury's got fast hands.
But Nate can't afford to give away the first couple rounds, letting Jake just kind of wander around the cage or in the cage with the ring and do whatever he wants. Otherwise, he's going to have to use those first couple rounds to really put pressure on him to make him fight an uncomfortable fight. If he's able to do that, then I think he'll have a chance in those later rounds. But if he just lets Jake run around the ring and just
Quit saying cage.
punch whenever he wants, then I think it's going to be a harder fight for him. We'll see.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for Nate though.
No.
Yeah, man. Look,
Really?
I've said it vocally. I really like Nick and Nate a lot. Both of them. I think they're great for the sport. I like they're both great for the sport, and they're real people, man.
They've been fantastic. Yep.
What you see is what you get.
They're real. Yeah.
What you
They're
see
not
is
phony
what
for
you
anything.
get.
They're gonna look at this is who we are, and if you don't like it, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
It's great.
I like it. All right, next. What else you got for us?
yeah, so I wanted to get you guys' thoughts. We've kind of talked about the Ngannou Jones thing a lot, but they did come face to face at PFL this past weekend. Jones was cornering, Ngannou was there, and the gist of it's hard to really hear because of the background noise and all that, but the gist was just kind of squaring each other up, and then Ngannou was kind of taking shots saying that John took 3 years to come up to heavyweight, and obviously around the time that Ngannou left or after he left, so it's kind of blaming John on the fight not happening. John saying that he left the promotion, so that's why the fight didn't happen. And then Ngannou was kind of saying, well, you're over there, I'm over here, let's meet somewhere in the middle. So don't quite know what that means, but interesting moment just to see them come face to face. What do you guys think?
The meet in the middle. Where the hell is the middle?
There is no middle.
There is no
Unless
middle.
you're gonna say it's Bellator. You got the UFC on this end. You got the PFL. It's Bellator in the middle.
I think you just
They're not meeting.
the middle would be boxing. To me, I feel like the middle would be boxing.
Oh, well,
See
that
you
would
guys
not
fight.
be a smart move for John.
No.
And John's not going to be able to do that. So there's no point in even looking at it. Dana's not going to let Jon Jones go box Francis Ngannou.
I think
If Jon Jones was going to, hold on, let's be honest. If Jon Jones was going to have a MMA fight against Francis Ngannou, what's the one way he loses?
Yeah, on the feet by knockout.
Okay.
But John, let me ask you this: in a fairy tale world, world, like if I was to say, like, hey, let's just say John ends up getting the fight with Tyson Fury, and let's say Deontay Wilder gets the fight with Francis Ngannou,
Yeah.
and let's just say, let's just say that both of them were able to beat them. Would you then say? Would you think that maybe that Dana and Francis people would get together and say, you know what, we just beat two of the best boxers in the world. Why don't we have you two do a boxing match? This is a fairy tale, obviously fairy tale. Because I don't think any of them beat. I don't think any of these guys can beat Tyson Fury in boxing.
No, because they can't. It ain't happening.
But it'd be fun. I don't know, and I think matchup wise, I think Deontay Wilder is a bad matchup for Francis. Like in boxing, I think Tyson Fury's a bad matchup too. Yeah, in boxing. Yeah, and
in boxing, both guys get killed.
I think the Anthony Joshua fight's a good fight for Francis Ngannou.
if I was going to pick one, because
Yeah.
look at, and there's no, Deontay can take a shot too.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that, if you're going to say who's got the weakest chin out of all of them, you would say Anthony Joshua. You know, and it's been tested multiple times, but you know, the power. Look at Deontay hits as hard as Francis does, no doubt about it. That right hand, I would say Deontay hits, you know, every bit as hard, if not harder. I mean, Tyson doesn't hit as hard as either guy, but he's just the better boxer by far. But I love John, you know, trying to, you know, size up Francis area. You know, I like the fact that Francis was pointing out that John now has, instead of a 6-pack, he's got a keg.
Yeah, he's got the dad bod. He's got the belly.
That's all right. That belly will go a long ways.
Somebody was texting me.
What happens in the heavies?
Somebody was, not somebody. I had a couple people that texted me, but one of them had texted me and said, "It's sad that they spent so much time focusing on this because the fights weren't that good."
Yeah.
I was like, that's taken away from the ones that had great performances that night. That sucks.
Yeah.
But this is news, though. This is news. It's never going to happen, but it's news.
No.
It'll never happen. They're both going to go their own way. They're done.
That's right.
Yep.
They're both in different promotions, and they're not going to see each other, and that's fine.
Next.
Yep. Next one is Tsarukyan taking shots at Michael Chandler, talking about Chandler thinking he's going to get the Conor fight. He said, if you think you're going to get the fight with Conor, you're as dumb as your fight IQ. So, first of all, taking shots about the Conor fight. Do you guys agree that the fight's not going to happen? B, is this a fight that you think you'd like to see? Because it seems like he wants to set it
I've
up.
said for some time, I don't think that fight's happening.
Yeah.
How long ago was it I said that fight? He's not fighting him. I don't see it happening. And again, Conor had to do certain things to even make it happen in the year of 2023. That's not happening. You know, and people have to understand there's reasons why the UFC has taken shortcuts with fighters in the past when it came to the USADA program, and it has bitten them in the ass. And they can't do it anymore because some of those fighters still have lawsuits out over those things. And the UFC can't sit there and look, because it's Conor, they would like to shorten the time of how much time he has to be in that program. But since these other fighters have these lawsuits, the UFC can't go against it. And they're going to have to stick with what the USADA schedule is. And it's 6 months. That's why Henry Cejudo wasn't able to get that fight early. He had to go the 6 months. It's just what it is. And so this fight now, if it was going to be Conor against Mike Chandler, doesn't happen until 2024. Okay. It's still not going to happen in 2024. They're going to end up fighting somebody different. And I kind of like the fact that Tsarukyan goes, basically tries to say, look, you know, if you think you're fighting him, you're not. And, you know, and I don't like your fight IQ anyways, which makes me want to fight you, which makes Tsarukyan smart.
Yeah. But I can tell you, Tsarukyan can't afford to get hit as much as he got hit that last fight by Michael Chandler. Chandler's got some power, man. I get it.
I'll tell you what. I'll take Tsarukyan right now against Michael Chandler.
Absolutely. I'm not
Michael Chandler is tailor-made for Tsarukyan.
Yeah, I agree.
And Tsarukyan, at this point of his career, you know, Michael Chandler was a good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
They're on different levels now.
Doesn't wrestle, doesn't want to wrestle, just wants to be entertaining.
Yep.
Tsarukyan's commented a couple times on some of our videos saying, yeah, he's got the dumbest fight IQ in the game. He's like, I don't understand why people keep saying he's a good fighter. He's like, he's tough. He's like, but he's not.
He is tough.
Yeah, he's tough.
Look, I'll say he is a good fighter. He's got good skills.
He does.
He's entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay. And I like Michael Chandler. I know, you know, I don't care what anyone else thinks, but I like Michael Chandler. And he is entertaining. And I think, and like I said, I think on our last show, I think he's great for any promotion that he is part of. But if you're going to ask me, do I think he fights smart at this point of his career? No. I think he tries to be more entertaining than he does try to be a smart fighter.
Yep. Hey, he's getting paid, though. He's getting paid pretty well, which is good for him.
And that makes him a smart businessman.
But this, I think if you were to match these guys up, and I don't think Michael Chandler's taking that fight ever.
No.
He's not trying to fight an up-and-comer. He's not trying to fight someone who can do everything that he can do. He can wrestle. They're almost very similar body frames.
Oh, yes, they are.
You know, they're both good on the feet, you know. Not great, but both good on the feet. And then in the wrestling department, I think Tsarukyan being the younger fighter, he's going to just wrestle him down, really try to wear him down, make his arms feel heavy, all of those things. But I'd like to see it. Sign me up, man. I'd like to see it.
Sign me up. Yep.
Next.
I agree.
All right, we have Khamzat looking for a fight, not Dana White looking for a fight. But
I was going to say, Khamzat looking for a fight. There's a program.
Khamzat is saying that he wants to fight in Paris and then do a quick turnaround and fight in Abu Dhabi in October. Kind of interesting that he's saying Paris because that's in September. So is it because he just wants to do back-to-back training camps, or is it because of the European visa situation?
I've heard he's had a problem with getting a U.S. visa, so there's the possibility that, you know, by fighting in Paris, he can get into Paris. That's not a problem for him, and then he can get into Abu Dhabi, and that's not a problem for him. And that could get him 2 fights down the road. And look, he needs to fight. This is a guy that was ready to fight anybody and was willing to fight, you know, hell, back-to-back weeks. And it was one of the things that got people interested in him. And he's fun to watch. He's a good fighter. But he needs to get some middleweight fights because his last, you know, showing was basically him missing weight, fighting Kevin Holland, you know, instead of Nate Diaz. And that it just left a bad taste with everything that happened. If he's going to be part of the middleweight division, he needs some middleweight fights.
Yeah. Give me who you want him to fight.
You saw it in the last Saturday. I want to see him fight Jared Cannonier. I think that's a great fight. I think Cannonier has the wrestling that, you know, he can stop some of what Khamzat. He can't stop all of it. But he's got power, and we've seen that Khamzat, you know, if he's going to fight Khamzat, it should be a 5-round fight. Khamzat is in shape all the time, but he did get tired against Gilbert Burns when he had a guy pressing him. And I know that Jared Cannonier will press him. And you know, when someone is pressing you in a fight and you cannot make those moments when you get to catch air and get a breath, it becomes a long sprint that is not fun to be in.
Yeah. No, I think Cannonier is a perfect fight for him. Cannonier has the output, as we saw last weekend. He's got the conditioning. He's got the cardio. He's got good takedown defense. He will be there in the 3rd and 4th round. Outside of getting clipped maybe early in the fight, I don't know. I think Khamzat, he's a fantastic fighter. I just think there's certain guys that stylistically are going to push him. I think Cannonier is one of those guys. Bobby Knuckles being the next.
Yep.
Those two guys I think would give him fits, especially Bobby Knuckles. Who else is in that weight class there, Dave?
Cannonier did, by the way, say in the post-fight presser, he's like, I don't want to fight Khamzat unless the UFC tell me that he's between the title and me. So
okay, and I don't blame Cannonier for that. You got to figure Cannonier has stepped over Vettori as far as the rankings, and only Robert Whittaker is in front of him, so he can either fight Robert Whittaker again for that title match. But if they tell him, hey, you get the win against Chimaev, that's a title matchup, then yeah, I'll take that one. I don't blame him for anything he said there.
I guess for me with Chimaev, though, the fight that I want to see him is him and Paulo Costa. That's the fight I want to see. Those two guys. That's a great fight. Costa's got good takedown defense. He's got good power. You know, I mean, like they would get down and get after it. I mean, I think it'd be a good fight. I'd love to see that fight. That's the fight to make. That one or the Cannonier fight. One of those two fights. He can't keep. He's got to get busy. You know, he's got to get busy. So, all right. Next, what else you got for us, Dave?
All right, we'll wrap up on this last one here. Antonio Bigfoot Silva retired after that last fight he had against the young Salim El Usiadi guy, and but wants to come out of retirement to fight him again because he doesn't believe he lost the decision.
Is it really retirement when you're already back after a couple days? Like, it's not really retirement. You know, no. Like
I think it says retract my retirement. So reverses course, plans to unretire. Right. Okay, that's what the headline says.
Well, John, I want him to wrap up his career like we're about to wrap up this podcast. Okay, like
Quick time.
it's like it's gonna happen. It's gonna have to happen quick, buddy, because it's been long overdue. Whoever's in his friend, whoever is, if he's got a wife, if he's got family, like tell him to stop. Tell him to stop.
He should have stopped long ago.
Long time ago.
You know, this is Dave. Do me a favor. I'm sorry, but try to pull up Bigfoot's
Record.
fight career record, because really what I want you to look at, and I tell guys all the time, when you get knocked out 3 times, okay, not TKO stoppages, but knocked out 3 times.
Yeah.
Look, you better start thinking about other things to do. And if you go down his damn, career, you got, and this isn't even it, but Cain Velasquez TKO, he got, he was bleeding all over the place. He got crunched. But then Andrei Arlovsky knocked him out. Frank Mir knocked him out. And this is not TKOs, this is knockouts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You have Mark Hunt TKO'd him in there, but then it was Stefan Struve knockout. There's your 3 right there. And that was back in 2016. Back in 2016, Roy Nelson knockout. Okay, I did that fight. I remember it. And it was one of those, you're looking, you go, it just, there comes a point where it's over. Then Vitaly Minikov, knockout. And then Oleg Popov, knockout. He's got all these losses. And then on top of those, Josh, not one of these is one of the boxing matches that he's had, because he's had multiple boxing matches, and he got knocked out in all of them. This is the kind of thing that you're going to see where this person then, all of a sudden they're going to say, oh, he's got, Alzheimer's, he's got Parkinson's. No, his brain has been punched and damaged and concussed so many times that the sport, combat sports, is the cause of what we're seeing. It's time to retire. It's over. Stop fighting.
Yeah. I mean, you scroll up a little bit more there, Dave. Like you go even before that though. There's the
you can
Daniel
go down there and
Cormier
there's more
knockout.
KOs.
There's the Cain Velasquez knockout. Cain Velasquez again knockout. I mean, you've got you've got these fights. You got Verdum, so forth. Anyways, but scroll back up to where you were. Like even the draw there with Mark Hunt. Do you remember that fight? It was a fucking knockdown drag out between the two of them. And so it wasn't like he got knocked out a couple times in that fight and then fought his way back into a draw. He got hurt. So it's not like it was boom, knocked out, fight was over. No, he was boom, dropped, hit with some big shots, got back up, boom, dropped. It was a knockdown, drag out fight on both of them. And then to go on, Andrei Arlovsky, Frank Mir. I mean, it's like Mark Hunt again. I mean,
Josh, if you take a look at his last 12 fights, his record is 1-10-1.
jeez.
That's not a guy that should be fighting.
No.
And like I said, he's had multiple boxing and kickboxing fights in between there and got knocked out in those. Stop. I'm not only saying it's bad for you, it's bad for the sports. People should not be licensing him at this point. Shame on you if you are.
Yeah. Every promotion he fights in is, you guys are just pieces of shit.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. They've got to stop. And his family and his friends and everyone, you guys got to find a way to get through to him. I don't know what it is, but you got to find a way to get through to him because he shouldn't be fighting.
Alex Davis used to be his manager, and Alex left him. It's because he wanted to keep fighting when Alex was telling him, hey, it's time to stop. And that was a long time ago.
Jeez.
And he's continued on. And look, this is where you look at the combat sports world and you say, man, we need to get rid of the blood-sucking leeches that think it's a good idea to take and put someone's life on the line so they can make $1. Mm-hmm. When you have someone that's been hurt as many times as he has, been knocked out as many times as he has, been stopped as many times as he has, it's over. He doesn't have the skill set anymore. He once was a good fighter. It's no longer there.
Yep.
Let him be. And someone, he's got to realize that because, he's the biggest problem because he wants to do it because there's money involved.
I forgot he fought Kane twice.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about I thought he only fought him the one time. No, he fought him twice.
No, he fought him twice.
Interesting. All right, well, hey, that's going to wrap up our show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. This is our midweek show. Go to WayneInMerch.com. Pick up some of our apparel there at WayneInMerch.com. And go to OnlyFans.com/WayneIn. OnlyFans.com/WayneIn. Subscribe to us there. It is free, completely free. Submit your fan questions over there at OnlyFans.com/WayneIn. John, take us away, bud.
Everyone out there, I hope you have a great week. Enjoy the fights when they come up on Friday night. I hope you're watching those and Saturday, and we will see you.